So, welcome to the Authentic Creative Expanding Our Capacity to Feel Good. I've been very much looking forward to today because, as you may see if you're watching, but you're about to learn if you're listening, is Amber Lilyestrom is here. She is a business mentor, branding expert, author, and speaker. Her work has been featured by Forbes, Entrepreneur, Success, Tony Robbins, and Dean Graziosi's Mastermind.com program, Mindvalley, and Working Mother Magazine. She is the host of the Ignite Your Dream podcast and author of books Master Your Money Mind and Paddle Home. Okay, so here we are. So many things I want to talk to you about. First of all, is your birthday September 6th? Okay, that's my birthday.
Whoa.
So I was listening to your podcast and I heard you talking about it's my birthday today and I'm doing this live in real time. And I was like, oh my God, we're birthday twins.
Happy birthday. Okay, wait. What is your human design? Do you know?
I'm a manifesting generator. I'm a
Oh my
2/5 with
God.
emotional authority.
What time were you born?
12:33 a.m., I believe.
Whoa, that's so crazy. I
78. I'm 78.
I know, but it's just so weird. I'm 81 and
Oh, same as my husband.
yeah, and I'm a 4/6 generator with sacral authority. And
Okay.
I just think that's so crazy that we're like, same birthday, but like wildly different design. And that's why human design is so cool.
I agree. I love human design so much. Alexandra Cole got me into it, and then a couple years prior, my breathwork coach got me into it. It keeps coming around, and I have actually started giving people human design readings. It's really fun.
Whoa. Oh my gosh. I love it. I love it. I love it. Cool. Well, let's have that on the back burner. And happy belated birthday, soul sister.
Happy twin birthday. Uh, it's so interesting because we could talk about this for what's present right now, because I love to just talk about what's present right now, and so do
Mm.
you. And what's present right now for me is like turning 46 is interesting.
Mm.
Like I am going through a whole, what Kate Northrup calls like crucible.
Mm.
It's like the burning off. And also what's coming up is shit that I am like, ooh,
Yeah.
I am not wanting to be that person anymore,
Yeah.
which happened last night.
Mm.
So it's like, okay, but our growth is not linear and we're going to spiral around. I'm curious for you, like what you're personally going through in your September
Mm.
birthday month, of like reinvention and kind of looking at, like, I think of it as like looking at the laundry and going like, well, that needs cleaning and that we were going to throw out. And I love
Mm.
this. Let's keep that inventory.
Mm.
What's that like for you?
Yeah. I mean, I think I'm a person who just literally does that all the time.
Right,
It's such a
right.
Virgo thing anyway, I'm just like, oh, what are we doing here? Redoing the pantry again, redoing the space again. Like, what is this? Why? I do it so much. I move the furniture, my poor family. They're just like, where's the couch today? I'm like, look, it's an energy thing, guys. Like, it's new views, new seasons. We got to have new
Yes.
energy. They're like, they know that nobody questions it anymore. They just go, Ani will go, Mom. Cause I'll be like, are you thinking what I'm thinking? She's like, Mom. She's like, I'm not thinking that. I'm like, well, get your muscles ready, baby, because we're moving some things. So I just am so available for that kind of transformation. And I think it's a product of many things. One being like growing up in my life, my parents never moved the furniture, A, but B, I think that their model of the world and of how things could be was pretty static. And I would say generationally, a lot of us millennial folk feel that way, that it was like, well, it is what it is. Life is hard, then you die.
Mm,
And I just refute that. I'm not
yes.
into it. And so in my personal new year of walking over the threshold of 43, um, my body's inviting me to really look at some things. My body's saying, hey girl,
Yeah.
how do we want to feel? What's supportive? Yeah, I get that you had to run this program this way for this long, and
Mm,
maybe we can reimagine that just ever so slightly. So like little things in terms of like how that translates into activation. Um, well, the big one is I had this experience in July, the last weekend of July. My dad just turned 80 at the end of August. He's also, everybody in my family is a Virgo except my son. So it's
Oh my
also
God.
my dad, my husband, my daughter, me. Like we're all these
Whoa.
birthdays right in a row. It's like,
Oh my goodness.
you know, the four of us. And so my
Yeah.
dad is he's a competitive kayaker, and he has been like his whole life. And so I
Amazing.
also compete sometimes just for fun mostly, but I have this big racing boat, this big like ridiculous pink racing boat.
Hence paddle home.
Yeah. Yeah. And we live on a lake. And so my dad and I went and we competed in this race. It's a very recreational race, but like we come in with our huge boats and it's really like a race for ourselves, like not against the other people. And I got in the water with him and we were warming up. And, you know, I haven't done this race in like 3 years, mind you, because I have small children and, you know, it's hard to like watch a kid on the shore when you're out in the water. And so
Yeah.
I am in the boat with my dad and I'm having this moment of realization. I'm going to win the race this year. Like my dad has always won the race. But my dad's health, he has Parkinson's. He's still paddling very strongly, but it's his skill set, his abilities are, you know, just they're getting a little less than they were before. And so
Okay.
I had this realization of like, I'm going to go win this race right now. And what I realized in that sort of admission to myself, Siri, was I'm not going to notch my power. Siri thinks that I'm talking to her.
I
Oh,
know.
it has to happen all the time. Oh my gosh, you poor thing. It's not even,
It's
you were born before her. Come on.
right.
That's so
Yeah.
rude, Apple. I am just realizing when I'm out in the water that like I notch my full power all the fucking time.
Mm,
It would be so easy for me in this race to just stay with my dad.
yep.
But my dad doesn't want me to stay with him. He wants
Mm,
me to be in my full fucking power. And so the bell goes off and I'm just like, okay, I want to feel what this feels like because apparently I haven't felt this in a long time. And I
mm.
just start paddling and I get to the first boat, which is like the buoy, and they're like, go girl, you know, and they're like cheering me on and I'm just going. And then I get to the second one and the guy says, did the race start yet? This is how far ahead I am. He can't even see the other people in the race because I'm so far ahead. I get
Wow.
to the third and the guy goes, you won. And I was like, I'm winning it for my dad. And I was like, but inside I'm like, no, I'm actually fucking winning this for me. And so I'm paddling and I'm paddling and I'm paddling. And I get to the fourth buoy. And then this woman goes, she's like, oh, how old are you? And I'm like, weird. I'm like 42. And she goes, oh, great. I have 8 more years until you're in the masters. So I was like, okay. I think that's a compliment. I'm going to keep going. And so I'm just like paddling all these weird things, you know, these experiences. And I'm out in this part where there are no more buoys anymore. I'm like, where do I go? They just go through the opening and take a left. You'll see the beach. I'm like, okay. And my body, my arms are burning. My body's hurting. And I'm just like, it doesn't even matter. This is what it feels like to be in my full power. This is what it feels like to go as hard as I possibly can in this moment with everything I have in me. And it was a transcendent experience. It was so incredible. And when I got to the beach, my kids are cheering for me. My daughter's like, "Go, Mom." I'm like right there. Everybody's like rooting for me. I beat the field by 5 minutes. I won the race by 5 minutes. I get out of the boat and I'm like humbled. Because what I know, and if you're listening to this right now, I guarantee you are notching your full power.
Yeah.
I guarantee you're not playing full out. And
Yeah.
there are 1 million reasons for that.
Yeah.
But that was like a portal experience for me that on the other side, I decided I'm going to stop doing that. I'm going to
Yeah.
stop doing that. I'm in my business, in my motherhood, in my marriage, in my self-care, in my friendships, in my vibration, my frequency, in my existence on this planet. And so what's happened as a result of that is I have like completely changed things inside of my business to be the teacher that I am, to like really step into my full power of how I help and how I help people have massive transformations in their lives and in their businesses. I've started writing my second poetry book and it's just like pouring out of me.
I love it. I love
I'm
it.
just, you know, I'm in the water. There's some personal things that Ben and I have made some decisions about that we're like unleashing together. And it just feels like now, like, why are we waiting? What are we
Yeah.
doing? Like, what is most important in your life? And how do you get on that track and start living fully into that? And so that's really what 43 has ushered
Oh my
into for
God,
me.
what an inspirational answer. I'm so impressed and proud of you, even though this is our first real conversation. I met you in the bathroom in LA at a Kathy Eller event. But, I'm just inspired, and I know that's your mission because I feel it in your voice, is to ignite, right? And it's the name of what you do, and to ignite, light yourself from the inside out and spread that light one person at a time. And I just feel that already in just this one story is like so transformational. So I can only imagine what having a VIP day with you would be like, or being in a program of yours would be like. What is the thing that you are most passionate about offering right now to people?
Yeah. It's Ignite Your Business, the Growth Collective. And I've had this, I think this is an important part of the story to share. IYB has existed, frankly, like since 2015. It's just had different names. It's shape shifted, right? And so it's been Ignite Your Business. And for the last year, anybody who joined could join as like a lifetime access member. And people would say to me, like, that's so crazy. Like, why are you doing lifetime access? And I was like, because I just want it to feel good and easy for people. I want them to come in and be safe and feel like they have all the time they need to do the stretching that it takes to grow in place in business, right? Like it's this is a complicated endeavor we've chosen. There's a lot of nuance and dimension to it. And most people aren't talking about that. And I'm here to talk about the full truth. I pull all the curtains and all the veils back. And it's like, babe, you are on your path and you're meant to do this, and it's going to kick your ass. That is 100% the truth. And
Mm,
also, like, we're here and we're here to answer your questions. And so IYB was created as an answer to the thing that did not exist, that I could not find, that I didn't have. And it feels holy. And so what I was realizing was we need to make it easier for people to get in here, right? From an investment standpoint and also from a modeling standpoint. And so, literally, like on my birthday, I made the decision to shift the IYB model to a growth collective, or a membership model, as we might call it in our space.
hmm.
And it's $88 to get in. And
Love it.
there's obviously annual, you can invest annual, which people are doing, which I'm so delighted about. I'm like, oh my gosh, yay, we have a whole year. And it feels so light. It just feels like letting everybody be at choice in a way that feels like very liberating. And then, the athlete in me is like, yeah, but I know you're going to stay because it's epic. And the other thing, this is the inside part, what it's doing is it's giving me permission to just be the teacher that I am. And so,
Mm,
like, our first class, well, not first because they've been going on forever, but our next class is called the Full Power Framework. And I'm literally teaching people how, because this is what I see so much with my amazing coaches and creatives. They don't really know how to build an offer. They're so confused. And so they're
right.
building something and then it's not selling like
Yep.
at all.
Yep.
And their content, they can't figure out how to like plug the content into the offer and make these
Yep.
things work together. And I've learned how to do it. I've been doing this for 10 years. I built an actual like framework thing to have people plug their stuff in and then use that in perpetuity. And it's baller and it works. And my business is proof. And I've been doing it with clients for a while. So anyway, I'm so excited to give that to them. And it feels so good to be like, come into class, come in, like, you are our people, you are our family, come do this. And then ask all the questions you want. Like, come on the accountability call with Kristen. Like, I teach twice a month. It's some of the other classes are going to be how to create a paid everyday business model, because I'm really passionate about this. I think, hey, guys, we have to be open for business 365 days a year. Like, we have to be able to make money all year long, not all of this like open close stuff. Because the other thing I see is small business owners who are learning from really, really big people
Hmm.
who
Hmm.
can do a big launch and make millions, and then they
Yep.
close it up, and then you can't work with them until their next launch. But
Hmm.
they're like teaching that model
Yep.
when those students don't have that kind of volume and don't have that kind of influence yet.
Yep.
And then they feel like they're failing because they're not, that model's
Mm,
not working for them. And I'm just like, let
mm.
me like hold me back, Mama Lion style, because that's not in the best interest of somebody who is in a one-to-one model and likes that, or wants to have small groups and wants to do hybrid and doesn't need 60, 70, 80, 300, 400 people. And so for me, it's just like we're having the conversation that's actually relative to most business owners that are out there, which is like
Yeah,
the
you're like meeting
majority.
them where they're at. Yeah.
Yeah. So teaching that class, I'm going to teach main character energy class. I mean, just like it's limitless for me. And as a responder that like I will never stop with having things to create and teach. And of course I share my poetry in there and
I love that you do poetry. I do that too. Yeah,
yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Just hearing you talk about your poetry has given me the ignition to want to publish my poetry book. So
Yes,
thank you for that.
please. You're so welcome.
You're
We
such
need
a
more of it.
you're such a dedicated mom.
Mm.
And so I'm curious about how you have continued to dedicate yourself to your life, enjoying your life, being on the lake, being in nature, being a mom, all the things that are important to your soul and make money.
Oh yeah. Well, I I believe that you don't have a business without a life.
Yeah.
And so what good is it to build some big successful business when you hate your life, when you're miserable, when your children just long for you and you're not there for them? The model was so broken. That model is so broken. And so for me, it's like right now is the treasure. I have to say it now. 11, I used to say 10 and 2. It's 11 and 2. She's 11. I don't get 11 and 2 back. I get 1 11 and 2 Christmas. I get 1 11 and 2 Halloween. I get it's just like, let's go on with the list. I get 1 11 and 2 summer. So are you kidding that I'm going to squander that because I'm like worried about putting Instagram on content on Instagram?
I was just going to ask you about the Instagram thing.
Yeah. I mean,
Where are you up to with that? Like, I know Stephanie Gass is like, I got off it. I don't do it.
I love Instagram.
You're on it. And I've heard one of your Instagram chats that was quite long, like a full-on coaching chat, and it was great.
Yeah, I love Instagram. I think it's great. I think with anything, it comes through your filter. So you can be triggered by it if you want to be, or you can be cool with it. You can be obsessed with it. You can be addicted to it. You can find your place on that spectrum. But again, it's a personal thing. And for me, I mean, we probably wouldn't even know each other. I bet, I don't know. I guess we met each other through Kathy, but Kathy and I wouldn't even maybe know each other if it weren't for Instagram. And so I just think about all the amazing people that have come into my world because they've met me through my art on Instagram. And I really think about everything that I do, including my life as an art form and my signature. And it's like, because I had a near-death experience when my daughter was born, it just changed me on a cellular fundamental level. It makes me think about life differently. And the reality is it is a gift to be alive. It is a gift to have this conversation. It is a gift to know each other. It is a gift to be a mother. I went through infertility. I can't have babies. By the grace, I didn't even understand at the time when I had my daughter, but we did go through fertility treatments to have her and then tried for 7 years and we weren't able to, and we adopted our son. And like, it's still the thing that it's my deepest ache. Yeah. It's a privilege. It is a privilege, to be alive. It's a 4 billion chance, essentially. If you think about it, it took 4 billion years in the lineage to make you. Like for 4 billion years, things had to go right for you to exist. Come on, unbroken lineage for that long to make it possible for you to exist. Like, give me a break with this. And so if I'm unhappy, if I'm dissatisfied, if something's not working, it's like, okay, babe, what are we going to do about it? Because it's a miracle and it's a gift to be alive. And what's the proof of that on those hard days? Because it doesn't mean I don't have hard days or feel discouraged or doubtful or any of those things. Of course I do. Right now, I was saying to my best friend, I love it right now, but I also feel a little sad because the leaves are turning in the water. I can see the heat leaving the water in the morning, and winter's really hard and it's going to get cold. And I can't help but feel a little bit sad about it. It's an and both. And so that comes up in me. And so it doesn't mean that I don't have those same emotions, but it's like, where do I put my energy? And you know what it is? It's on my creatorship. And it's on being a creator of my existence. It's being a creator of things that are helpful to people. And my creativity, my words, my conversations like this are the thing that truly save me, you know, creating in my home, making meals. That's like a new thing. I'm starting to do meal planning. It's almost embarrassing to say that I haven't. I've sucked at it, but I'm a really good cook. And so this past weekend, I sat down. I was inspired by my best friend, Rachel Campfield, who's also an amazing creative and just released her first book. And I sat down at the table and I did what she did. And I had cookbooks out and I was like, who am I right now? This is amazing. And we've had the best week of our lives because I'm cooking and it's high vibe for me. Like my family they love mom when she's cooking because my energy is so high. I love it. And then they like kind of leave me alone a little bit and I get to just cook and create. And then we have like incredible leftovers all week. And I'm actually eating lunch. I'm actually nourishing myself in the day with
Yep.
nutritious food rather than like eating a handful of cashews and calling it lunch.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. I get that so much. I'm curious, just to keep going with this little bit of thing with the phone and Instagram and then
Yeah.
close that out. How have you, what has been your best method of your relationship to your phone? Like, what are you finding works for you, just in general, your relationship with your phone?
I mean, I don't have a relationship with my phone. It's a tool that helps me do my job. That's it. It's like if I'm on my phone, I'm basically using it for work. And we watch memes as a family at night. So my daughter is like, we watch like silly cat things my husband sends. And so we'll like sit down and we put it on the airplay on the TV and then we watch it as a family and we laugh together.
That's
And
cute.
yeah, but like I don't have it's just not an issue. And if I notice that I'm like, if I notice that there's like a cling energy, I just put it in the drawer and walk away. You know, I don't know. It's not something, if I think about like addictive tendencies and those things, it's not that I don't have them. I think we all have our versions, but for me, it's more about like it had been like over exercising and like proving type things.
Hmm.
So it could be more of like, oh, I just want to create more to, you know, I don't know. I'm psychoanalyzing myself, but I just don't have that. I know people talk about this. I have clients that talk about this. They really, really struggle and they scroll and they doom scroll. I'm like, I don't even know what that means. I just don't do that. I don't really look at what other people are doing that much because I just don't have time for it. I'm just creating when I'm on that thing. I'm talking to clients on Voxer. I'm DMing with people. I record my podcast walking, talking into my phone. And then otherwise I'm, you know, I'm with my peeps. I'm doing some, out on a walk. I might put music on. Like, I think it's so amazing. I can literally listen to my favorite music in the entire world while I'm on a walk, you know, on this thing, or talk to my best friend and leave a personal podcast on the Voxer with her because we're
Yeah.
conversing.
I mean,
So
I recently left my phone in Heathrow, London airport, and it was like this moment of, right, this moment of
yeah.
like, oh my gosh, I just wanted to subconsciously set it all down because of how much work I do on it.
Okay.
And the Voxer, like the group Voxer, it was just like, oh, I'm so
Totally.
tired, right?
Totally.
So that's where I
Totally.
was coming from
You know
with
what I
that,
like to do? Delete things. And
right?
I don't mean like Instagram. I actually never deleted Instagram because I just don't need to. I'm fortunate. I feel fortunate that that's not a thing for me. Me saying that does not invalidate that it is a thing for some people. For my best friend, it's a thing. She has had to take a month off from it. So I'm in no way trying to make anybody feel bad if it's a thing for you. It's just not for me, and that's my truth. But I like to go through, and this must be so Virgo, delete like every text message except like my parents, because I'm never going to lose those text threads, and like my husband and
Mm,
stuff like this. It's so nourishing. And then go in Voxer and just boop, 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 bye everybody. And like, I know they're going to Vox me back. You know what I mean? And I know
that's
you
great.
like
I love
can't
that.
get the data back, but I don't, who cares? It's the past. It's not relevant. So
Yes,
I like to
love it.
clear that stuff out because it's just, I like having inbox zero whenever possible. I'm that person, like a red dot. I don't like a red dot. I'm just like, get out of here. I don't want to carry all this stuff. So
Love
I like,
that. Love that. Okay. So moving on, in terms of belief in oneself, is that really what a lot of this comes down to for people's success?
yeah.
Is,
I mean,
yeah.
yeah. So I was just saying this to somebody. At the end of the day, right? Like it's all an inner journey, right? It's all introspection, introception. It's all about you and you and you and you. And I remember when I was in my late 20s, I was really like at the end of almost 20-year run of having an eating disorder. And what that looked like was restrictive eating and overexercising and like obsession when it came to food. And again, that's something some people could listen to me say that and go, that's so like wild. I would never have that
Sure.
experience, in
Sure.
the same way. But that was my experience. And, I was a Division I athlete. And so I've been thinking a lot about that lately of like, I always felt like I wasn't doing enough. Like you always had to train
Mhm.
more. Always could weigh less. You could be leaner. You could be faster. You could always be better. And
Yep.
so that was so wired into me as an
Mhm.
athlete. And of course, it was like, where do I control? Well, if I
Yeah.
eat less food and I work out more, then I get control and it makes me feel good. It gives me that feedback loop that I'm deeply craving, right? So when I was at the end of my 20s, I remember I walked myself into a therapist's office who specialized in working with people who had eating disorders. And remember when I did it, like I shared with my mom and she was like, you don't have an eating disorder. Like I was like being literally invalidated for what my lived
Mm.
experience was, which was
Mm.
also a whole nother complex thing.
Sure. Yeah.
But I remember this therapist saying to me, Amber, you have an eating disorder. But I felt like, well, I don't look like somebody who has one. So in terms of like what our brains think of. And so that just made me feel more shame.
Yep.
And she was like, okay, well, what is it like for you to open the refrigerator? I'm like, well, I cry. So she's like, okay, well, that's good feedback. I was like, I couldn't even open the
Yeah.
fridge without getting so overwhelmed about like, what am I going to do? What am I going to eat?
Yeah.
But what I knew at that moment was I am going to be the mother to a little girl someday. I knew it.
Mm.
I was just so clear that I was going to be a mother and that I was going to have a little girl. And what I knew was I needed to drop that baton and I was not going to pass it along to her.
Yep.
And so I did the work. I did the journaling work. I did all the things. I also had this other dream besides being a mom was as a survivor of childhood sexual abuse. I knew that I was sort of here because I'd come through it and in a positive way by the grace, that my parents fought for me and supported me and helped me so that I could come out of that and be someone who could see differently for people, and I just knew I was going to write books. I was going to speak. Like I just had this knowing from a very, 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 very young age. And so my realization,
You testified in court, right? At
I
what
was
age were
5.
you? 5? And
Yeah.
who were you testifying? You were testifying against someone in your family?
An extended family member. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. You had
Yeah.
the courage to do that, and you had to do that.
I had to do that. And my mom fought for me so that I could,
Yeah.
which is still to this day. It's like, I don't know how she did all of that, as a mother. I'm like, just rip my
Right.
heart out,
Yeah,
but,
totally.
but I knew this, right? And so I remember thinking to myself, like, you can't help other people the way you want to help them, hating yourself.
Right.
You can't become who you are meant to be
Yep.
having this relationship with yourself. And that was the truth. And so I had to make my relationship with myself my biggest devotion and my biggest work. And I did. And I went through that and I graduated out of there. And this is what I do for my work now, and I help people. And it's almost like, doesn't mean that I don't have flare ups or moments, but I have such reverence for myself. I have such reverence for the journey that I've been on. I have such reverence for all of us as human beings who are literally doing the best that we can in any given moment.
Yeah.
And whenever something feels like really awry, it's always about like, hey, come back to the mirror, and have that chat with yourself. And can you look yourself in the eyes? Can you say, hey, great job, babe? Can you like embrace yourself in the way that you love the people in your life? And that's really the test. And it's like this holy, holy, holy thing that is so liberating. And it's also so congruent, I think. That's the other thing. It's like you can tell when somebody's teaching at you, but they still kind of hate themselves
Mm,
inside.
mm, mm,
Like you can feel it.
mm.
And it's not that I'm just saying we all have to like be kumbaya here, but I just think it's in integrity to be like, I understand that the biggest work of my life is to accept me and to love
Yeah.
me, because
Right.
that is really like the level at which I'm going to be able to have capacity to hold with others and to love others and to accept others. Because it's like, if I'm speaking on stage and I feel really insecure in myself, every single question that comes through, I'm going to be worrying the whole time about what do they think of me and was that good enough, and comparing myself to the other people on stage with me. And let me tell you, I know that experience because I've had it.
Okay.
And being in a place like when I was at the event that we met at, where that's not happening, where I'm just fully embodied, I'm really happy with the dress I'm wearing and the body that I'm in and just the chapter of life that I've graduated to. And I'm just so fully myself. It's like the greatest feeling in the entire world. You're so free.
Yeah. When you say holy, because you've said holy a few times, can you tell me about what that means to you?
Yeah, it means sacred. It means of the highest. It means like
Is this a relationship with God, with oneness, with universe, with source? Like, what do you call this? Is there like a worshiping practice, or what do you do?
I call it whatever you call it. I call it whatever you call it. It's because it's a you experience. And so for me, it's universe, is cosmic, the cosmic plan. There's divinity in it. I love the story of God. I love the creation of the understanding of God, but I'm also of the mind of like, I understand quantum physics. And I also understand that like humans wrote the Bible, and Jesus was a real man, and he was metaphysical, and he was powerful. And I think that there's truth in every part of all of that. But I also think like the universe, cosmic plan, God, however we talk about it, also created Jesus and the concept of God in humans' capacity to understand it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I love it. I am a practicing Buddhist, but I also have been attending Steph Gass's podcast launch for her boot camp, and she prays. And I'm like in tears, right? So my relationship with God started really when I was 19 with the Artist Way,
Yeah.
right? And so like it's all kind of ever evolving, and I
Yeah.
still feel like I at this age am still, and maybe this is a lot of people, figuring out like what I admire about someone who is so steeped in their belief is
Yeah.
that faith and that trust, and how it just informs everything, and it's so much bigger than them, that specificity and that depth of relationship. And I'm just looking at like, wow, my relationship to source, power, universe, and God are all like kind of a little bit vague.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I teach Akashic record reading, and we talk to our masters, teachers, and loved ones. Like it's like there's so many ways that I connect.
There's like so many inroads that you can choose. Like I say, if the dream is in you, it's for you. And I think our dreams are really sacred. And I ask you, like, where did that come from? Like, where is your dream from? How did I know when I was like 4 or 5 years old that I wanted to be a mother, and I wanted to be a speaker and an author and a teacher? Like, tell me how I would have ever made that up. That's bizarre to think about, I don't know. Like, I don't know, but it was there. And, and I know, and I have these moments where I'm like, right, that was my dream so that I could have this conversation with you today, you know, and so on and so forth and onward. And I really believe that. I think about everyone I've ever loved, I did not plan to meet.
Yeah.
And I go, how do you do that?
Yeah.
So of course we are miracles. It's all a miracle, the whole thing. And when I was in my near-death experience, like in the actual operating room, having the
Yeah.
out-of-body.
Do you want to talk about that for a minute?
Sure, yeah.
That's so fascinating to me.
Yeah. It was beautiful. I had a emergency C-section. I had been pushing for like 4 hours, and they were like, you're not doing great. Her heart rate is high. We need to go have an emergency C-section. And so rolled in, Jack Johnson music is playing, and they're
Love
like,
it.
okay, we're going to do the block now. And mind you, like they're doing the block, but I'm actively vomiting. Like my body was like not doing well. I have a fever. I'm not a person who really gets fevers. My body wasn't doing great. So they give me the spinal and then they lay me back down and, you know, Jack's singing and we're prepping and nurses are buzzing around and they're going to get Ben in a few minutes. And they put the little curtain up and it's like, we're going to have a baby. Like, okay, this is what we're doing. And within just a few minutes of this, you know, at the anesthesia being administered, the block, I start to kind of feel this like pressure in my chest and I feel like my lung volume is just getting shorter and shorter. And I'm trying to take a deep breath, but it's just not working.
Mhm.
And so I start to like hyperventilate a little bit and I start kind of gasping for air. And so, and they didn't like really realize it. And then I started like gasping and saying to them,
Mhm.
I like, I was like, you're killing me. Like I'm dying right now. Like I
Mhm.
can't breathe. You're suffocating me. And so they
Mhm.
put a bag valve mask over my face, which that's a whole experience. I've never felt myself breathing without my consent, essentially,
Yeah.
and a nurse's hand next to me. And within a couple like minutes, seconds, I don't really know, I blacked out in that situation. And it could have been, who knows, you know, second, could have been minute, I don't really know. But what I do know is right before that happened, the surgeon who was over on my left hip said to the anesthesiologist behind me, what can I do to help? And in that moment, I knew something was wrong and Jack wasn't singing anymore. The music was
Right.
off.
Right.
So I'm out. And the first thing that comes to my consciousness, my unconsciousness, I guess, but in consciousness, right? I was like clear, was you're not doing it. Those words came across. You're not doing it. And I knew exactly what it meant. I wasn't doing my calling. I was in a corporate job.
Mhm.
I had known for years what I wanted to be doing and I was not doing it.
Yeah.
That's what came through.
Yeah.
And it was like a really dark, sad, heavy feeling. And then it kind of shifted from that. And then I was like the bird's eye view that they talk about. You hear people talk about a near
Yeah.
death experience. I could see myself. I could see Ben in the room
Mhm.
he was in wearing his
Mhm.
scrubs and he was just like walking back and forth and he was checking the camera settings. And then I
Mhm.
could see my parents in the waiting room. My dad was sitting also doing his camera settings and my mom was walking back and forth. And
Mhm.
it's crazy because after all of this, later, once I processed, I asked my family members, what were you doing when you were waiting? And they described exactly what I saw, exactly
Right.
what they were doing, exactly where they were sitting, what was on the TV, the whole thing.
Yeah.
And so after that sort of like bird's eye, I had this experience with myself. And it was like this moment of profound, deep, life-changing healing. And it was this thought of no matter what happens, my daughter is going to be with people that love her, like beautiful people that my life led me to so that she will be loved and protected for her whole life. And it was like that. And like, I've had the blessing of getting to be loved by them. And then this was the part that like, I know changed everything. And also they've had the blessing of me loving them.
Mhm.
Like my love was worth something. It was like the first time I ever felt that.
Yeah.
And in that moment, I felt this pure, divine, perfect love. And I
Mhm.
knew, and I did not say, I didn't, not that I had any problem about it, but I wasn't really very spiritual back then. I knew that
Mhm.
was a God. I knew that was a God experience. And I was like, okay, I literally said this, okay, God, take me. I'm okay. I
Mhm.
literally had this like full surrender moment to God in that in between. And as soon as that surrender happened, it was like a switch flipped and I was conscious and I was awake. And I was laying on the table and I was able to breathe. And the anesthesiologist yelled to the surgeon, go, go, go.
Wow.
And they started the procedure and Ani emerged into the world and I was a mother. And I just had this quantum leap in consciousness, this complete change that I wouldn't really be able to fully understand for a while,
Right.
like consciously, but
Yeah.
it changed me. Like it changed me, it changed me, it changed me. And every time I tell the story, it changes me more.
Mhm. Yeah, I feel that. Oh, it's gorgeous. Thank you for sharing your heart.
Yeah.
And your experiences, you've had some incredibly, incredibly deep life experiences from a young age to
Yeah.
birthing.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah.
I mean,
I've been in the cave.
I mean, I feel privileged to be someone who has been given a lot of invitations for personal evolution and growth. And I think that, you know, whether this is just like an ego thing or not, I don't know, but I feel like it is a tap to say, like, you have big work to do here.
Right.
And, you know, I
Mission.
think one of the big things coming out of that operating room experience that feels really important to transmit and share to anybody who's listening to it is that what I felt in that moment, right before the surrender moment, was absolute bliss and zero fear.
Yeah.
Like I felt completely held. I felt like my life had been worth something really important up until that moment. And the love between us, the people in my life, every person who I ever loved was the whole point.
You're gonna make me cry again. This is like the
Yeah.
fourth time, Amber.
And so the thing is, and I really want to give this to you, it's like, if that's what meets us, I really think it is.
Yeah.
If
Then
that's
what's
what's
there
gonna,
to fear?
then what's there to fear? What are you afraid of? Write the
Yeah.
poems, babe. Write
Yeah.
them.
Yeah. Oh, mine are written. There's so many of them. They're just not in a book. But yeah, metaphorically, like, what is your poem?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
make your life your poem. Make your life the beautiful thing. Make it the signature. If there's something right now that is just really, really not working for you, this conversation is happening today for you so that you can make the change you need to make. Because
Yeah.
it's just so short. I mean, we homeschool our daughter. She goes to nature, like a nature program 3 days a week. It wasn't working. We were in a school situation. It wasn't working. It wasn't working for her. Wasn't working for us. I remember saying to my family, and this was like when I was in the depths of grief after 2 IVF procedures, a lost pregnancy, really understanding it was the end of my fertility when I was 39. And I just remember it was about this time of year or so. She had just started. She's about a month into school. And we
Yeah.
were not doing well as a family. We were not
Mm.
thriving. We were hurting. And I just remember thinking, like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
What are we doing? Why are we doing this? What do we believe?
Yeah.
And we just pulled the ripcord on it all. And coming back around to something you said earlier, it's like, I've built this business to support what's important to me in my life.
Right.
And the model of my business is malleable, but it's
Hmm.
also, it has to be a mirror for how I want to live in my life. And people are like, well, how do you do that? And I'm like, there's no other option. I say to the business, do your job. You have to do your part. I demand that of my business and I support it, but it's like a low maintenance business model, you know, because I allow people to be sovereign beings and I have really good boundaries and I'm really good at what I do. And I just come in and I do it and then I'm out because I want to enjoy my life. And also don't get it twisted. I love my work. Like I
Yeah.
built this whole building for it. This is the treehouse. We are in the forest
It's
in New
so
Hampshire.
beautiful.
It's so
I
amazing.
so want to be there.
Yeah,
Yes.
well, come because we're doing it, girl. Like you tell me the date and we'll set up a VIP day. Like it's so fun. And
I
I
went to
built
summer
this.
camp in New Hampshire and I grew up in Vermont and New York. So like, yeah,
You know. Where do you live right now? Remind me.
I'm outside of Portland, Oregon.
Oh yeah. Okay. I thought you were on the West Coast. Yeah. Cool.
I lived in LA most of my life, but I grew up on the East Coast, going to Cape
Yeah.
Cod and all that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love how you're so connected to nature. I love how you're so involved with your kids and how you seem to really, not seem to, you do clearly live life on your terms,
Yeah.
how you craft it, like you like the art, the poetry, going on those road trips with your daughter to like all the cat competitions, like
Oh yeah. Yeah.
it's your artwork, it's your creation. And I feel like that's what you're doing is you're showing other people like, well, how are you going to make this? Like you decide.
Like,
What are
okay,
you
here's
going
the
to do?
question. Yeah, let's ask it, everybody. What's your wildest dream? What do you like? What do you want? How do you want to do it? Write it down, write the whole thing, say everything, even down to like what kind. I mean, I'm obsessed with coffee mugs. Can we just have a moment for this one? Like,
Like a birch tree.
oh my gosh,
It looks like a birch tree.
it's so cool, right? So, but like, how do you want to live your day, your days? How do you want to live your life? What do you dream about? And every single thing that I'm living now is something that I dreamt about. right? Like every single thing in my life literally is like dream comes true status, like talking to you while the baby's sleeping on the monitor, right? The poetry, but like it's all tactile now. Like I get to feel it. So what is that for you? Write it down. So many people are afraid to say it because if they're like, well, it's not going to come true. And it's like, look, the vision
Yeah.
precedes the resources every single time. Your dream is going to come before the how. You have to
Yeah.
say yes to unlock the how. And so be really bold and brave in your dreaming. And I promise you, it is like a portal. It is a door opener. And then like dream it and then leave it alone. Stop fiddling with it.
That's what everyone's saying. I keep hearing this.
Yes.
Surrender it. Love it into life. Surrender it.
I have a journal on my nightstand that I learned this from this amazing poet named Chelsea Diane that I'm obsessed with. And she does this. And I was like, I'm doing this. So she has this journal and I now have one. And I wrote in big Sharpie, it's like this pretty floral journal. And on the cover, I wrote, everything I write in here comes true.
Oh, I love it.
And so every night I just write things I'm excited about and I'm dreaming about. And I don't get your energy right. There have been nights where I've been like kind of a little bit of a Oscar the Grouch, right? I'm like, you don't get to touch that tonight, babe. Go to sleep.
Yeah.
Don't you dare put a pen on that page. That's a holy little book.
I was gonna say, like, be careful what you put in that book.
Well,
You got to be ready for it.
It's
right?
true. It's true. There's things that I've written in there. I'm like, girl, what are you doing right now? But it's coming through. And so, yeah, I live my life honoring my dreams. And I will tell you, I mean, I've had dreams in stepping in this personal new year for next year that I'm like, okay, here we go. Right. Like we're coming back to stage. I'm going to host my Ignite Your Dream. Well, I had an event in 2019 called the Ignite Your Soul Summit at the Portsmouth Music Hall in New Hampshire, 500 women from all over the world. It was fucking legendary. It was amazing. And then, COVID happened. And I also went through like my own dark night of the soul after that. So it was good that in a way, like, thank you, COVID, for giving me couple years off from that. But I'm ready again. And so we're working out a date with the venue, but it's going to be called Ignite Your Dream Live. And I'm just like doing some really cool things. It is not going to be like what you're used to seeing at these sort of like empowerment events. It's going to be amazing in very different artistic, gorgeous ways. And some of the things that are coming through that I'm going to do, I'm like, really? Really? Okay. I'll just keep writing about it. And it makes me nervous. It makes me feel a little like, okay, but
Perfect.
I trust the dream. I trust my dream because it hasn't done me wrong ever.
I trust my dream because it hasn't done me wrong ever.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's the name of something. I trust the dream.
Trust the dream.
Okay, that's the golden nugget I'm taking with me. Okay, so for spiritual entrepreneurs that are wanting to scale their business, what's the golden nugget we want to leave them with? What do you think?
Okay. I mean, all this inspirational stuff we've talked about, yes. But also, I'm going to say the thing you probably wouldn't expect me to say right now.
Great.
I have like a bit of a little like bone to pick with the people who are like mindset, get your frequency right. Yes, obviously, no kidding. But also, babe, like I've been a 20-year marketing and business pro. Like I've been doing this. I taught sport marketing at the University of New Hampshire. Like girlfriend knows what she's doing when it comes to business. And some of you guys are trying to sell stuff that people don't know what it is.
Right.
And you're calling it like the magical, mystical unicorn fairies wand camp.
Yes.
And I love that. Like I want a wand, but also what is that? What are we doing? And so we've really got to figure out, we have to learn a couple things. We need to learn how brand exists at a subconscious level. Okay. We need to learn how to structure an offer in a way that makes people go, oh my God, I have to have that, because it actually meets them where they are. And it actually speaks the language that they're speaking.
Right.
Right? Like we have to, it's not low vibe to try to communicate in a way that someone's going to actually resonate with what you're trying to do.
Yeah. Gotcha.
So I'm just really passionate about being like, hey, okay, if it's not working, I'm not
Yeah.
going to gaslight you and say, you need to change your mindset about it. I'm going to say to you, if that's true, I'm going to call your ass up. But I'm also going to say, let's like X's and O's this for a second. Let's make sure all these things work together so that, you know, we can then iterate and we can test. And I think that I see so often in this space that it's like somebody's doing all of that, like strategy with no energy work, or
Mm-hmm.
all energy work and no strategy. And then it's kind of like, well, we're missing the blend and the magic of the and both. And so that's the thing if it's not working right now, you guys, there's nothing wrong with you. You're not flawed. It's not that nobody wants to work with you. I guarantee you something's off and it's positioned improperly and there needs to be an adjustment made.
Like a
And
chiropractic adjustment. Yeah.
you are going to have to do some inner adjustment attunement work too. It's both.
Mm.
And they feed each other. And so that's what I have to say about that.
That's amazing. Yeah, I'm totally the person who's like all the woo all the time. Let me get deep transformation for myself, for others, but like the strategy and the marketing and the business, I like kind of know, and sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. And I'm like, sometimes it's working, sometimes it's not. So I feel like a lot of people are in that position.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it just is like broken my heart a million times over having people that are magical like you come and then they're like, I just think I have to go get a job because this sucks and I'm terrible and nobody wants to work with me. It's like, no, that's not how. Like, hold on, wait. I mean, maybe there's nothing wrong with getting a job. I have a client today that I worked with for years and years and years. And she was like, I just don't think I can do this anymore. I think I need to get a job. And she's been really struggling. And I've just been supporting her in the background as she's been working out, and she just got a job today. And she's like, sent me a text. I'm over the moon excited. I'm like, that's amazing. I think we're all entrepreneurs at the end of the day. Every single person is an entrepreneur.
I was just going to ask you, do you think it's like the 9% or you're saying it's everyone?
I think it's everybody. It's just about how you identify yourself and how you file your taxes, right? It's like, just because you have a W-2 doesn't mean that you are not an entrepreneur. You choose to go there every day. You choose to use your life force to support the mission of the company that you work for. When you stay sovereign like that and you value your life force, your contribution, your creativity, you get to keep that. My daughter, when she was a little bit younger, she was like, I want to make money. I mean, she gets allowance for doing chores and stuff, but I was like, look, if you pick up these pine cones off the yard and put them in this bucket, I will pay you XYZ per bucket. And she like negotiated with me. I was like paying her so much money.
Love it.
But in any case, at the end of it, I said, I need you to bill me. So I taught her how to write an invoice as an independent contractor, as a sovereign business owner, so that I could pay her entity rather than be on my payroll. And philosophically, I think that's really, really important for us to maintain within ourselves, no matter how we file our taxes or how we get paid, because you can become sort of disempowered and you can get into victim patterning pretty easily when you're like, my boss is an a-hole and da 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 da. And it's like, well, babe, you're the one choosing to be there. So, hey, take your power back, be the creator of your life. And when I was getting ready to leave my corporate job before I launched my business, you know, those were hard days. But what I would say to myself in the car, like pumping myself, I'd be listening to Daniel Laporte's The Desire Map in the car. And I would be pumping myself up and I go, I am going to go be the best associate athletic director for marketing and strategic initiatives that has ever existed. And then I would like walk in with each step and I'd be like filling myself up and I'd open the door and I'd like just go through this whole exercise of getting myself so fully empowered, even though it was like, it was time for me to go and it was getting hard.
Yeah.
But I maintained sovereignty. I owned my power. And then I took that whole life force that created a 10-year career and went from being a marketing coordinator who was making 20K with no benefits to teach sport marketing at a university, being one of the top sport marketing professionals in the country, right? Like I did that. I took all that life force and I went, I get to take this with me. And I get to put this in my own business and I get to be with my 9-month-old baby daughter and I get to do the nap time hustle and I don't have to miss the moments I don't get a replay on. And I get to go live in the direction of my dreams and there's no ceiling on what I can make and there's no limit on what I can be. And I just grew out of the pot And now I've got like a big old garden that needs my, for my plant. And here we are, 10 years later.
And paving the path for so many other people, women,
Yeah.
to do this for themselves too, to own our lives.
Yes.
Thank you, Amber. You are fierce.
I'm fierce. I'm a
You are
Taurus
fierce.
rising, so I might be a Virgo, but there's some Taurus ascendant.
I'm like, wake up for Amber, like get awake because you're like, keep up. I'm like, okay, let's go. All right.
Go. I mean, I really feel that way. And I'm not the friend you call when you like wanna kind of wallow.
Yeah.
I'll give it. Like I'm an empathy, compassion person for sure. Like I am the person. I said to a friend yesterday, she's gone through hell in the last 6 months of her life. And she's like, I don't know what's wrong with me. I was like, okay, would you like me to tell you? And then I listed off like all of these things. I was like, holy shit, your life has been a dumpster fire for the last 6 months. Of course you feel like this. And I'm like, of course I never want to invalidate the way someone feels. I want to make you right. I want to make you right for being sick of the job you're in. I want to make you right for being upset about the marriage you're in where you don't feel like you're seen and acknowledged. I want to make you right for wanting to be with your kids and you're in this friggin' situation that you can't. I want to make you right for hating your business because it's built on someone else's foundation, not what you really want. I'm going to make you right 100% of the time. And when you feel that, but do you get that? That's not always fun.
It's not always fun. It's like team, I believe in you. Let's go.
And then I'm like, and what are we going to do about it now? Because you have one life and you're breathing and your body works and you've got these babies. A lot of us, like they're watching you,
right?
Like this isn't the season for my husband and I to be like tired, whatever. We have plenty of time to rest when they are adults. But right now, like we're creating this reality and I don't want to look back on it and be like, man, you packed it in because you weren't in your full power and you were telling yourself a story of a disempowerment. I'm not doing that. And it's hard. Okay. Also, I have to like push myself. I have to say when those moments when I'm like, this poem sucks. Why are you writing? Okay, that was a nice thought. Thanks. Bye. Do you need a snack? Do you need a nap? Do you need caffeine? Like what is going on right now?
You have like all that competition athletic energy like built into you.
It's in me.
And it seems like your journey has been more of like, how do I slow down, calm down, like not be so hard on myself? Yeah. I have the opposite. I'm like all softness, but like, how do I get a little more competitive?
You're like, yeah. Well, hey girl, I got your back. I got your back on that.
So, okay, thank you, Amber, for being who you are, for being the light in the world, for igniting your passions and going first, leading the way and helping women collectively and one at a time, like heart to heart, being like their biggest impetus for living the life of their dreams so that we can all rise together. Like, thank you so much for who you are and what you're doing in the world. And it's very inspiring. I so appreciate your time. It means so much to me. And I know that the people listening are going to be so ignited by this. So thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. I appreciate you.
You're welcome.